Wait, hold on. Let me finish.
No, let me finish.
Welcome to Let Me Finish, the weekly podcast where we discuss what the hell's going on in pop culture, current events, and everything else in between.
We are your hosts. I'm Janice.
I'm Stacy.
And I'm Jillian. Grab a glass of wine and let's get started.
Okay, and we are back with another episode of Let Me Finish. We're on episode 18, y'all.
Wow. All right, barreling towards 20.
I know. Woo-hoo! Okay, and I did say that was my, I think increments of 10 are good for me.
So what happens when we hit 10?
20?
Girl, you just had coffee. You even had any wine.
Okay, so what happens when we hit 20? Something big, right?
We should do, we do our, no, I think maybe we should do like 50.
Yeah.
Is that too many?
Yes.
No, I think 50 would be a good.
Or 25.
Something should happen at 20. Or, okay, 25
We'll
at
do
least.
25, and then we'll do like a
every
cake
quarter
or something, and then we can do like a, thank you for helping us reach 25 episodes or something.
Mm-hmm.
To say thank you guys. Woo.
Thank you.
And then of course we, content, cute stuff for y'all.
Of course.
Okay, well, I'm your host, or one of your hosts, Janice.
I'm Jillian.
I'm Stacy.
And we are Let Me Finish. Okay, so this week we're gonna, let's just jump right into how our weeks went or how they are.
Well, first, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
you're fine.
It's really hard for me to just kind of just jump in and talk about my week and everything because something tragic happened very, very, very close to home last night. Even closer to me because I was actually in the area eating when this whole incident was happening. We had a mass shooting. It's all over the news.
Allen
I didn't know you were in the area.
We were across the highway at the Glorias in
crazy.
Allen. Yeah. But we had no idea, though. It's just sad that something so tragic is going on, and here I am eating and drinking.
I mean, and the sad part is that happens to us literally at this point. Anytime we're out having a good time, something tragic is happening.
Yes.
Sadly.
Yeah. So there was that. We have it's an outlet mall. We go there all the time. It's, it's real close to us. It's a huge outlet mall. It's an outdoor complex, so it wasn't like I personally think it was a little bit better that it was outside, so people had a chance to
shelter in place,
stay covered,
or get away. Right. So and unfortunately, I think 9.
So 9 people were confirmed.
Yes,
that died. 7 on the scene. 2 people at the hospital,
and they're saying that there's 3 that's in really critical conditions. I unfortunately saw some photos on Twitter last night. I don't ever want to see those.
I saw one of the
still photo with the bodies piled up.
I saw the bodies piled up.
I didn't see that.
Oh my gosh!
I regret looking at it.
Wish I hadn't seen it.
I saw the picture of the shooter. I guess they shot him in the head.
He went.
Oh well.
He went. Yeah.
Then I heard he shot a baby in the head.
It was kids. In the photo. There was a child in the photo with the dead body. So I'm just like, ugh.
And you know what they were saying too? It's just a great coincidence that the cop that actually took down the shooter, he was just at the mall for
something else.
Really?
Heard the gunshots and immediately engaged and shot him.
Yes.
And even within that short period, literally you had a police officer on scene able to subdue the subjects fairly quickly.
Yes.
And he still was able to kill 8 people in that short span of time. Boom.
Well, they
boom,
said,
boom, boom, boom. 8
one of the
people
witnesses said when he came out, obviously he had an AR, and then he was vested up.
Yes.
He went in there ready to do some real damage.
They said he had so much weapons on him. I think he had maybe 2 ARs or 8. I don't know the difference.
So thank God that they did subdue him because he probably had a lot more plans.
He had multiple weapons, and he was in full tactical gear. He was going to war.
Yeah. It's just it was lucky.
I know, so crazy.
For other people who were there, there's just lucky that officer was on scene, because imagine having no officer on scene, having multiple 911 calls come in, and then the officers having to engage, not knowing where the shooter is.
Right.
So luckily he was there right when it started.
It's a huge,
it's very big
complex. It's massive, and it's just a lot going on in that area. It would even be hard for cops just to even get to where
once
they need to get to.
The chaos, hard for them to even
and a couple
assess the scene even.
Yeah, and of course everybody's on edge, and in the same area there's another mall, Stonebriar Mall. We live close by that one. Because of everyone being on edge, I follow the Frisco Police Department's
Yeah.
Twitter page, and when I was going through Twitter about Alan, they're like, "Hey, we don't know, but there might be an active shooter here too."
They
but
evacuated the mall.
what
They
happened?
did evacuate. So
They did end up evacuating, and what it was a bunch of teenagers got into a fight, and people started panicking
And started running.
And of course, it's one of those things where one person panics,
Yeah.
and then you don't like what's going on, and
I mean,
everybody
shit,
panics.
I would.
I would
see
too.
people running. I'm running.
But the
Period.
thing-
I'm
Yeah.
gonna ask questions while we running. What's going on?
The thing for me
Like hell.
is when they always say that, we need, because I was reading comments and people were like, okay, this is in Texas. Everyone has guns. So where's the good guy with the gun? But here's the thing. If you're a good guy with a gun and someone's coming with an AR-15, you cannot confront that.
There would
You
have been
can't.
the good guy with the gun would have caused more deaths. I think. I mean,
Well, he probably would
the
have died-
officer who's trained. Yes, but good guy with the gun just starting.
But as a good guy, me personally,
Because think about how many good guys probably had guns in
yes,
that
but who's
scenario.
gonna confront? Look at Uvalde. Remember Uvalde?
That's what I'm
All
saying,
those officers were like, "We're not going in there. That man has an AR-15."
Right, but I'm
Right.
thinking this is Texas. I guarantee you, a lot
Oh,
of those
I'm sure
people
they
were
did.
armed, but they were scared.
Scared.
Yeah,
I'm running.
We're open. Yeah, this
It
is
was
an open carry. We
I'm-
live in an open
I'm-
carry state.
I'm running.
You do not
I'm
have
running
to,
too.
and you do not have to have a permit anymore to
No.
even.
or like nothing.
You can just. Your right to carry, so and you can open carry. You do not have to conceal your
You do
weapon. Not saying, and for people who listen, that's not in the state of Texas. I've never personally. I don't like to go out a lot anymore. I think COVID completely changed my mindset when it goes to going out in public. But when I do, even though we're open carry, it is not like the Wild Wild West. I don't think I've ever seen someone like I go to the grocery store or the mall or with an actually open carry like a gun on their hip or anything like that.
I have.
Now,
It's very scary.
I have.
I have.
It's not often.
it's not often. It's
not
rare.
often. Not like what people
It is
think.
rare.
It
I have
is
seen
rare.
it, but it is
Now,
rare.
as far as people who keep their weapons concealed, I don't know about that. Plenty of people do can keep
Oh, they
their
were
weapons concealed.
concealed.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, it's one of those situations after all these mass shootings. I think the idea that quote unquote, I don't want that responsibility.
I don't want that responsibility.
Because I'm going to be panicked
Right.
in that situation. I'm not trained in that situation.
Exactly.
And my fear is me trying to take out said bad guy is that someone would get caught in the crossfire and hurting that person instead.
And or there's so
Or-
much confusion. You see that person with the gun, you think they're the shooter.
Right.
And then the
Exactly.
next person, the next good guy shoots that guy.
Right.
And then
Exactly.
you realize that's an innocent person. And the next good guy shoots that guy. And it's just, there would be more people dead.
Me
Yeah.
personally, I don't want that responsibility. I'm like, I value my life. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna go confront
Well,
you.
you're not.
I wouldn't confront the killer
I'm
unless
not.
it's me and him
Unless
and
you're
my life is
attacking
on the
me.
line.
Yeah.
Unless you're attacking me.
But I'm not going to
Because
go and engage it.
Because at the end of the day, that's not.
I'm running.
You are not trained
I'm
to handle
running.
a
I'm
panic
gone.
situation with a gun.
Yeah.
You know that one video we saw where right when it happened, like when the car pulled up and he came out,
Yes.
and there was a black truck that was in the parking lot, and he just like burnt rubber.
Yes.
People in the comments were like, "That truck should have ran." I'm like,
No.
When that stuff goes down and you hear gunshots, your only thing
That
you're thinking
truck-
that you have to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And first of all, that truck is not bulletproof.
It's not.
And you really think that person wouldn't have just shot off his AR and
Exactly.
No, I'm good.
I'm leaving.
And it makes me think maybe I should start when I park. I'm going to start backing into the parking space
Yeah, 'cause he
because
pulled out quick.
he was parked where you pull in, but he was facing out. So
I tried
literally, he just jumped in his car and was like,
As soon as
and
them
dipped
shots
out.
popped off, he literally, he pulled out quick. I was like, see, that would be me. I'm
And
gone. I'm
yeah,
leaving.
and the person recording was on a dash cam, just stayed there. I said, you stupid, get out of there. But I mean, I think they probably thought, ooh, I'm getting footage, but that person could just turn and like, he just literally got out of his car. There's an H&M at the Allen outlet and just started opening fire. And yeah,
That's what I'm saying. It's a shame.
It's so
that.
sad.
And then speaking of, when we did our episode about gun violence, every single week since then, there's been a shooting.
Every week.
Every
week.
single week.
yeah, and that they haven't identified the shooter yet, so we don't know motive or anything like that. Not saying that there's going to be any good motive.
Now, the man I saw had like tan skin and he had like a black buzz
Well,
haircut.
they're saying he's Hispanic and they know where his
Looks
when
Hispanic to
he
me,
looks-
but
we
there
don't know.
also are
But-
other races that could have
Yeah,
that
but
skin
they
color. I
also
couldn't see his
said
face.
that they were meeting with his family, so they know where he lives, somewhere in
Okay.
Dallas, and the family was requesting a translator, and
okay.
they were
Okay.
saying that he's people, I guess, in the area, because they know 'cause the car that he had, right? They said that apparently he's lived in that area forever. Like, he's always lived there as far as I can remember. And he lives with his family, and he's older, like not older, but like maybe 30s or somewhere like close to 30. Like, they were not sure, but he lived with his family. But none of this is confirmed. This is just what the latest
Rumors.
updates that they were saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So whatever happened with our weeks got completely overshadowed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad, but honestly, I'm numb. It's like, even though it was clearly way too close for comfort, because like I said, this is someplace that we've all have visited.
Yeah.
My mom was there a couple weeks ago shopping.
I literally had a thought to go. I was like, I need to go to Allen Outlet, and I was like, should I get out of bed and go? And I'm glad I said no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So,
just, it's sad.
it's just tragic. And I think because we've all just become desensitized. It's just like, oh, it's another one. And, we have a cousin in Canada, and she's just like, hey, you guys okay?
Like,
yeah.
yep.
And we're like, yeah, but it's just too close for comfort. And she's like, it's sad. And, our other cousin's like, yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to change.
Yeah,
And I don't think it is. It doesn't
So-
matter, because I think at the end of the day, the people who can enact those changes aren't motivated due to money.
Okay, but question for you. So, like, I know, like, we have plans to go out after this. We're going to go out to brunch and stuff in another heavily populated area. Do y'all feel...
I mean, I'll go, but I'll be hyper vigilant.
I'm hyper alert.
And
hyper aware.
and I was actually thinking about this. I said, ooh, whenever we go, where we seat, I'm definitely not sitting with my back towards the door.
I never do that.
See, and that's what I say when you say desensitized, like, I'm really desensitized because I'm not doing all that. I'm like, at the end of the day,
It popped in my mind.
Yeah.
if I'm in an active shooter situation, that's what I'm in. No sitting certain places, or I don't feel like it's just like if it's gonna happen where I'm at, it's gonna happen where I'm at.
Yeah.
I've literally lost that whole be cautious thing because you never know.
No,
You never know.
I'm always
Anywhere
cautious.
you go, you can go to work. You sit
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, it matters, of course. But when I say desensitized, like, I heard about it yesterday. I was like, damn.
Yeah. And it's funny because, I know tomorrow that's what we'll, I work with a really small group of people. There's only like 5 or 6 people in my department. And I know we'll definitely, when I get to work, we'll be like, can y'all believe this? Because where I work, you have to like buzz in with your badge on 2 different doors to be able to actually get into the office. But sometimes there's like a vestibule that you come into, then you go into that first door. And we've like seen like complete strangers, people who don't work for us. Sometimes homeless people come in there, and you're like, some people come really early in the morning. You're like, who are you? Me personally, when that happens, I personally be like, I've called my manager and be like, hey, there's a stranger here. Can you call the police, please? And get, because I don't know that person's, because at the end of the day, they've advised us, like, if you see someone strange, because some people try to like come behind you.
Yeah, no, I have been in offices with badge accesses, and it's and it's awkward. How do you tell somebody,
can I help you?
Back up.
No.
You can't come in.
Okay, I know Julian. Julian be like, who are you? What are you doing here?
No.
I mean, I've done it, but it's
I'm
awkward.
not like, no, I don't do that. So what they tell us to do is, if it's somebody do not recognize as someone who works there. So if me and my coworker that I know, hey, we both work here, no problem. You haven't been fired, I haven't been fired, no problem. But if somebody's strange that I don't know and they're loitering a little bit, kind of scoping out the place, I simply ask them, hey, have you been assisted? Do you need help? And they'd be like, no, I'm waiting for someone. I'm like, okay, cool. What's that person's name that you're waiting for? I can
See, I
go
ain't
grab
asking
them.
nobody nothing.
And if I'm going to be in the same space, so it's not awkward, I keep my distance and be like, because we've had plenty of people come in doing delivery and be like, hey, do you need assistance? And they'll tell me, someone is already coming. I'm like, okay,
Well, okay, because correct me if I'm wrong, because I've been working in processing for a while, and you work in banking, and I know they have the same rules and regulations as far as accesses to the building. So they have told us in the past, like, if you need to stop somebody, they're not supposed to be in the building.
So yes, they do
They're
tell
supposed
us
to go to the front, and if you see somebody, you're supposed to not give them access to the
correct.
office.
Yes, security has told us that before, that even if it's a coworker, we're all supposed to badge in individually. We're not supposed to let anybody
I've
in.
had to stop somebody and be like, oh, you gotta scan your badge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was more so when I got into management, because before, when I was, when I wasn't in management, I was like,
Yeah.
whatever.
So yeah, it's one of those things that every
But I could get in
aspect of our lives, like I work in operations, even though I work at a bank, there's no cash on hand. Our operations center used to have an ATM. They took that
But I
completely
thought it was
out.
based off of personal information that you have access to.
Yes, so we do have a lot of personal information on our computers, paperwork and stuff like that is stored at our location. So yeah, we
Based
do.
off of like PCI.
Yeah, for, even if a cleaning crew, we have certain requirements as far as, not leaving any information simply on our desk. Like if I'm writing something,
That's PCI.
you don't want people, we call it shoulder surfing, where they're looking over your shoulder looking for information. So yes, we do have to be aware of that, but it's one of those things that every aspect of our life, there is a degree of, because we were at Stacy's house when this all went down, and even coming home, my apartment building has a parking garage, so I'm I'm never on my phone when I'm in that parking garage, and I'm always looking behind me.
That happened this morning.
If I hear anybody,
hyper-aware.
and I have my keys out, ready to go, open my door so I can hurry up and get in my apartment and
You
unlock
need
the
to
door.
get some pepper spray on your keychain.
I think I am going to get some.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna come back into our main topic. I don't mean to cut this topic short or this subject short, but we do have some things we want to get into about an interview that took place and some controversial opinions about it.
Yes.
So we will be right back. And we are back. So again, this week we have a really good topic, but I'm going to let Jillian explain a little bit further because she knows the people's names and all that, and I do not.
Okay. All right. So we are going to discuss the interview that Eboni K. Williams had with Iyanla Vanzant on The Grill. So she heard an interview of Dr. Iyanla Vanzant on The Breakfast Club, where Iyanla had discussed that, she was talking about how Black women are showing up as men in skirts, not really leaning into our feminine energy. So she thought it was
Men in skirts.
That's what she said.
How rude.
And she was pretty much saying that, Black women aren't, like I said, really leaning into their feminine energy and quote unquote having that softer side of them.
We got to have somebody to lean into our feminine energy with.
Okay, and that's exactly why Eboni is like, I want to lean into that. Because she said that the reason why she wanted to discuss that further and she thought that was interesting was because she felt in her own personal dating life that she's had to show up for herself because she hasn't had that person to lean on. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I want to do that, but how do I do that if I don't have that person to do that with? So she's like, I want to discuss that further with her. So she had her on The Grill and was interviewing, and it was a small clip. It was a longer interview, but it was a small clip where they were discussing, where Iyanla asked her, Eboni, would you date a bus driver? Full stop, no other qualifications. Would you date a bus driver? She paused and she said, if he owned the bus, was her response. And Iyanla's like, okay, well, that's your problem. Mm-hmm, what if the bus driver has all these other aspects, such as he's a good person, he treats his mama well, he'll treat you well, blah, 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 blah. Even though that was not the qualifier that she presented her with.
She put a qualifier on it, though.
Hold on.
Her qualifier was one thing.
Janice, let me finish explaining the situation. So she was trying to tell, Iyanla was trying to tell Eboni, hey, you're discounting this person based on their profession. And of course they pulled that clip there and it went viral on social media. So people were coming for her.
Of course, she's a Black woman that doesn't want to date a bus driver. Okay.
So people were coming for her, especially Black men were coming for her in the comments, be like, what's wrong with the bus driver? Yada, yada, yada. She responded saying, hey, this is just me. And
was that her response? Because she was pretty defensive and she was bringing up all these other things of this is what I meant, and I really was trying to uplift and say that we need to level up as black people and blah 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 and black women and black men, and I was like,
I think I think because it's such a small clip, she wanted to be more clear. When she got the backlash that she did, she goes, "Hey, I understand," and she stated that there's nothing wrong with being a bus driver. But she explained, mind you, with Eboni K, I've listened to her podcast for almost a year now. I've listened to her podcast. She does have a podcast called Holding Court, where she discusses. She's an ex-lawyer, or she has her law degree. She doesn't practice anymore. Where she discusses court cases with celebrities every week and how that affects people in everyday life. So it's a very informative podcast.
so okay, Stacey, and then I'll let you.
And then she also had, where she clarified, she also had an interview on the Breakfast Club, also trying to clarify what she said. So we're going to discuss.
Backtrack.
yeah, like
Okay.
yeah. So hold on, because you said you were done. Okay, so here's my take on it. Right.
Okay.
You said there were no other qualifiers on it when Iyanla said that. Right?
When she asked the question.
Right. But Eboni immediately put a qualifier on it and said, if he owns the bus. Not anything else. She didn't say anything else mattered except for if he owns the bus. And that's what she meant. And that's what I meant, and that's okay. And I feel like when she went and tried to explain herself, she did not double down on what she said, and I think she should have, because at the end of the day, Eboni does not want to date a bus driver. And what is wrong with that?
Nothing.
There's nothing wrong with it. And I felt like she put herself in a more defensive mode just because of the people in the backlash. Because had she been a woman of any other race, it would not be a question of why wouldn't you date a bus driver? It wouldn't have been a question. And again, I think, okay, so she wants to date somebody at her level, her economic level, her financial level. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And her adding all those other things and all these other pieces of, and she never specifically, from the clips I saw, she never specifically targeted any particular race of man. She said men in general. Like, I don't want a man who's getting C's and D's in school all his life, and then wants to be at a certain level in his life, but then wants to date up. And she's saying, I don't have to date down. And that's it. And I feel like she just added all these other pieces that really just added fluff and bluster to what she said, because what she said is what she meant, which is, I would not date a bus driver.
Right. I think for her, because there is that backlash, I think she didn't want to hurt people's feelings. Like, if you're a bus driver, that's fine.
They're fine to hurt her feelings, though, by saying she's wrong for not.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I myself, if I don't have a college education, but if I went to, that means you did your undergraduate work, you got your bachelor's, and you went and got an advanced degree and got your law degree, passed the bar, and she was a practicing, she was a public defender and all that stuff. That shit is hard. And for me personally, I think if I had that background, me and how can we have anything in common?
So wait a second.
But you might.
Wait.
But go ahead.
A second, Jill, because what you just said, so you said that you don't have a college degree and she has all these other degrees and advanced degrees. So you don't think that you are capable of being at her level and holding a conversation with her?
She didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
I'm just like,
she's just saying, based off of strictly economic level, strictly like your education level, does that mean that she herself can't ask for the same thing? Of course she can.
A college degree does not mean that I know I'm smart. If I wanted to get that, I just knew that college, I got there and it just wasn't for me. It's not that I couldn't have done the work. I couldn't have gotten it. It's just once I started working, it didn't interest me anymore. Right. If I could go back, now that I'm in banking, my thing was, if I could change anything, I would go back and get my degree in finance. And actually, I would have, if I can change anything, I would go back, get my finance degree, and actually work in forensic accounting.
Well, you still could.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah, technically I would. That was my now that I go back and think, if I could do things over, that would be the profession I would choose to go into. And maybe work for the government, maybe working for the IRS or working for the FBI doing forensic accounting.
Okay.
I think that's fair because not everybody knows what they want to do at 19 years old.
Right. And that's where it was. Not saying like I said, I'm 39. If I wanted to go back and do that,
still go back.
I can still go back and do that and get that degree. It's not that I, on an intelligence level, could not do the work. I could do the work.
Okay. Let me jump in. Mm-hmm. Forget what Ebony K said. Mm-hmm. 3 women right here.
Right.
Let me just ask you guys. Would you date a bus driver?
No.
Janice?
I would have questions like, because I would not immediately, if I saw somebody or met somebody and we had an immediate connection and immediate attraction to each other, and you told me what you did for a living and it was a bus driver, I cannot immediately say I would completely ghost you or cut you off, because there was something about you that intrigued me. So there would be more questions I would have. How did you become a bus driver? What makes you want to be a bus driver? How much do you make as a bus driver? What kind of lifestyle are you living? Like, again, if to me, I'm not saying you're going to be able to keep me as a bus driver, but I might meet you as a bus driver. There could be something where you have 4 other businesses and you're a business owner, but you love to drive this bus.
Okay, so just being a bus driver would not be enough for you.
I wouldn't say it wouldn't be enough. Again, because what do bus drivers make?
They can make good money.
That's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, if you enjoy your job, if you provide for me emotionally, physically, and financially in ways to contribute to the household, and I'm satisfied with that, then I'm satisfied with that. I'm not going to sit there and say that I would I hear that you're a bus driver, and the answer is no. There are stipulations, just like you said. If you own the bus, there are other stipulations.
Like I said, I'm not saying that if you're a bus driver, you don't make money, you don't, you can't provide those other things. I just feel like, and we're just focusing on bus driver. This is any profession that sometimes I feel sometimes those jobs are, even though you're making good money, in this day and age with the advancement of technology, AI, if you're not leveling up and gaining new skills, it's not enough just to be a bus driver. Sometimes you do have to be the owner, because right now, just to have the bus driver as an example,
I would love to join this conversation at some point.
Wait, hold on. Even if you're the bus driver, I think that's a profession that is going to be considered antiquated, because I think with the advancement of
why wouldn't they advance
self-driving vehicles, I think that profession is going to die out.
So you're pigeonholing them into only being a bus driver forever,
and that's what I'm saying.
And they're not pigeonholed.
I'm not. You're just saying. The question was, would you date a bus driver? And what we're saying is, it can't be enough. You can't be like, well, I'm going to be a bus driver forever, even though you can see your profession dying out and you're still stuck in that, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. That's not going to be enough. You have to level up your skill set.
Okay. Stacey.
Oh, I was going to say, well, since I asked y'all, let me answer the question for myself. I really couldn't say that I would not date a bus driver, because I don't look at people based on their profession. Right. For me, it's more than that, right? Mm-hmm. So you're a bus driver. That's great. What are your dreams? What are your goals? What are you aspiring for? Yes, you might be a bus driver now, but are you in school? Right. Are you trying to do something different, right? So that's how I view it. But to meet someone, I really don't care what you are or what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Where are you going? Mm-hmm. So for me, I can't say I would not date a bus driver. I have not always been where I was. I don't have a college education. Because
the question is,
and I would hate for someone to be like, "Oh, I have all these degrees and you don't."
To speak as a person,
it's like, where are you? Like,
and to speak as a person with a degree, a college degree, I'm not going to pigeonhole you and say, because the question wasn't, would you date a person who's only a bus driver? The question was, would you date a bus driver? That was the question. There were no on the other.
So I think we're all coming from the same place where.
Well, I think that's what Iyanla was trying to get to, which was, it's not as simple. You didn't ask me, because Eboni didn't ask her any other qualifying questions. Mm-hmm. She didn't say like, well, does he have this? And then Iyanla couldn't have said, well, and then she could have further explained that, because at the end of the day, Iyanla's answer was, well, okay, this is the part of the problem, because what if he checks every single other box of yours? What if he truly fulfills you in every other way except for his what his job title says on paper.
I think, right, because when we asked the question, would you date a bus driver? You immediately full stop. You just said no. You didn't even. So for me, I wouldn't even. It's almost like no, but you have to meet people where they're at. Like you shouldn't just full stop based on a profession.
And don't get me wrong,
but we are kind of all coming back to the same thing. Yes,
Yeah.
is the person driven? Does he want more to life? Which is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm
And
just
you
making
just
it
can't see
simple.
somebody who is a bus driver necessarily wanting more.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, it just so happened that Ebony and I are both 39. We'll be 40 in September, and I would want somebody who I myself thinking, wow, I need to elevate my skill set. I need to diversify and find other sources of income, and because I want to live a comfortable life where I'm not saying I have to be super rich living in a huge mansion. That's never been my aspiration. Do I want to be necessarily a business owner? Not necessarily, and that's not something where, but if you're not diversifying and finding other sources of income, I feel like in this economy, and for somebody our age, we've gone through so many, we went through the housing crisis. We're now going through another recession. It's such a different time right now where if you're not thinking, hey, my situation is good now, but on a dime, it can change. And if I don't diversify and figure out other ways, there are going to be a time where I may not be able to pay rent and I'm going to be homeless. And, it was funny because when I was on my way to Stacey's house, I kid you not, we live in an affluent area, and I saw no less than 4 people in that small drive having signs begging for money. And I don't want to be in that position.
Well, okay, so listen. At the end of the day, like I said, I don't know if it depends on if that bus driver could keep me, right? Because I'm not going to live. I know what kind of lifestyle I want to live,
right?
And if I can have that lifestyle with you, great. If I cannot have that lifestyle with you, you're not trying to level up with me. You're not trying to think of other things that we could do to advance our life. Then yes, there could be a level of attraction that completely it falls to the point where I'm like, I no longer want to be with you.
Right.
And that's fine. But I know for sure, I think when it came to the Ebony interview, it was, to me, part of the things that bothered me is how people came at her afterwards and after she tried to explain herself, which I don't think she should have had to do. Because then it was brought up, okay, well, you're not for the black man because you have an ex that's white. So why is that even a topic that even comes up?
Exactly, because in the original interview, race was
want to
right
date outside of my race,
and I think
there's
there's a level to that, because in that interview race was never mentioned once. So why do you think that bus driver is a black man?
Yes, exactly.
And black men felt some type of way, even though unfortunately, and she had brought a spreadsheet where when it comes to wealth, African Americans at the bottom were actually Indian Americans at the top with the highest, earning potential. And white people are actually mid. They're mid amongst all the different races that are here. So it shows you that if we're at the bottom, white people are in the middle, and then this other, ethnic group is at the top. As a group, on average, not saying that there's not wealthy black people, but I think we fall behind because why is it that everyone is assuming this hypothetical bus driver is black?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think
they assumed that because she's a black woman, this was like a black. It's like
you assume, and
black men
felt triggered.
They were triggered. They felt like she was talking to them.
I don't feel any other race felt triggered by her, but it was particularly black men coming from this black woman. Why do you automatically see yourself needing to defend this hypothetical black man in this hypothetical situation when she never said anything about race?
Straight up said in the interview, and this is not to direct at any particular race because I have dated all races, and that's when she went into education level and like, why would you want to date somebody who's bringing home the C's and D's?
Right.
And then again, the men who made the comments pigeonhole themselves into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're the ones saying, well, I was the one making C's and D's. Okay. Well, what do you do now?
Me and you.
What do you do now, hun?
Yeah.
Like, and that's fine because you know not everybody reaches their peak in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's fine. But what are you doing now? And what makes you think that you should level up to date me? Mm-hmm. What are you bringing to the table? Because they love to ask what we're bringing to the table.
Facts.
So what are you bringing to the table? It makes me want to date you.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the only thing I thought it was just like some people making comments and just coming for her. I was like, no, if I was her, I would have doubled down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
I would
felt
have said,
like
I'm not dating a bus
She
driver,
could have just
babe.
stuck with what she said. Like Joyne says straight up, no, I'm not doing it. So she has a and she has a
Yeah,
right.
and she has
everyone
every right.
Every woman has their non-negotiable.
Exactly.
And for her, no, you gotta meet me where I'm at, baby. Like,
Right.
which is fine.
My non-negotiables
Yeah.
are different from yours. Like my non-negotiables not necessarily your profession on paper. My non-negotiables are how you make me feel, how you support me in my downtimes. Like those things are really important to me. Support, really.
Yeah, and
emotional support
think,
is the biggest.
I
for
also
me.
think it's so hard as just women in general, no matter what your race is where men see us like they villainize us as gold diggers. You're trying to get my money, but then they're like, well,
on the flip side,
they'll be like, well, what do you have to offer? And what they're offering most of the time, what they say they're bringing to the table is money.
yeah.
So if that's what you have to offer,
Those are those.
why would I not go after someone who has the highest earning potential and can give me the best life possible? Why?
Just like you want the best cook.
So if you're accusing me of gold digger, well, damn, let me go ahead and dig this gold.
Right? let me prove you right, babe.
Okay, so I'm not gonna go and not be able to try to attain the highest potential earner. Because you're already going to call me no matter what, whether you make 30,000 or you make 100,000, you're going to accuse me of being a gold digger because if I come after your 15 versus his 50, you're still going to have a problem with me. So I might as well go for the $100,000 earner.
But I actually want to bring something up that you just said, actually. So for me, what you said earlier resonated with me in the sense that you said, well, me and Ebony K are around the same age. We're 39, about to be 40. So I do think as I've gotten older, my level of like where you need to be at in life has changed.
Right.
I was okay 6 years ago dating somebody who is driving a hoopty and maybe just moved back in their parents and just needed to save a little money so they get back on their feet. That was fine to me back then, right? But I'm not going to date a 42-year-old man living at home on his mom's couch talking about he's getting a startup company started. Well, congrats. I'm not going to be able to date you exclusively, at least.
Right.
And I wouldn't say I wouldn't have you as a person I date and spend time with from time to time.
Go ahead and say on the roster.
Yeah, on the roster. That's what I mean, on the roster. Because I do think, dating multiple men until you find the one is important. You shouldn't tie yourself down to a man that's not tying himself down to you.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So you might be somebody I date and I entertain, but you're not going to be somebody I take seriously until I see you taking yourself seriously and thinking about your future and what you can offer in a committed relationship. Right. So, my birthday's coming up next month. I'm going to be another year older. No need to say any numbers. And so that means that, yes, like I would date a bus driver. But I would not date a cashier at McDonald's. Right. You know what I mean? Like, because you can go do other things. Like there's certain levels that I'm okay to say this is a hard no for me. And that's one of them. And I think that's okay. And I think the older you get, you should have more hard no's. And you should have different stipulations or, hard lines where I'm like, listen, this is the level I'm willing to date. And if you're below that level, I'm not willing to date you. Right. I'm not saying make impossible standards for people to live up to, but standards that are going to make you happy. Because again, at the end of the day, that relationship should be fulfilling you. At the end of the day, 100%. I'm not saying 100% of the time because nobody's perfect. It's an 80-20 rule, right? You're going to have about 80% of the things I want, 20% that I probably am still desiring, but don't settle.
Right.
for less than, and if one thing is a deal breaker, that's fine.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem building with someone. I mean, I see Stacey and Ernest's relationship. Ernest wasn't where he was. You guys were what?
I've been together 20 years.
You work for.
We've been together for a long time.
Yeah, 20 years.
Almost
Where they were
19.
20 years ago versus now. Mind you, they were much younger.
We were really young.
Yeah,
And y'all built together.
and you
I
built
admire
together.
that.
What Ernest gained other skill sets.
Yeah, he's always even now he's like always leveling
Always
up.
leveling up.
Yeah.
And I guess in the end of the day, that's what I want. Someone who's always eager to learn and to
Wants
be able
more.
to
Stay and maintain the student mentality.
to sharpen always
Yeah.
sharpening your skills, getting new skills, because like I said, in this economy, if you're not doing that, you cannot okay, backtrack. I don't want someone who's stagnant. I guess that's at the end of the day, that's what I'm looking for. I don't want someone who's stagnant.
So my question for Stacey is,
Yeah.
with Ernest, y'all built that life together,
We
and
did.
that's beautiful. Did he have that same ambition when you met him, or do
He
you
did.
feel like you added more to that with
So
him?
when I met him, he was very ambitious. He did have that ambition, but the way I'm like really driven. Like
So you
I'm
pushed
like
him.
I pushed him.
He had the
And
ideas, but you pushed him to actually
I
you
pushed
could do
him.
it.
He pushed me. Like I hold him down. He holds me down. Like we're all about leveling up. Like it doesn't matter what you think we have now. Like even now we're just like, okay, we need to do this. We need to do that. Like
Right.
And like I look at him all the time, and I'm just like, wow, because sometimes I feel like, damn, what am I bringing to this table at this point? Because he's just like,
He's super smart. Yeah.
he always wants more, which
He's never
for
satisfied.
me, that's my thing. I have to be with someone that's not ever
Content.
It's kind of weird.
Well, he's content. He's happy, but
I don't want someone there are people there who are just like, okay, yeah, I have this job, been here forever, I'm cool, but don't you want more than that though? So for him, it's always like, yeah, he has this great job, but he always wants more. Like, what new thing can I, like, we're always thinking like, we want more.
how do I make myself
How
more
do I-
valuable?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Which is what
and whether
I love.
even if you're in the same company, if you're
Yes.
not gaining new skills,
skill
even
sets.
if you're in that same
Right.
company, if you're not getting new skill sets at a drop of a dime, your position could be gone.
Exactly.
So that's why I
Where
left my
they'd
last
be like,
company.
"Hey, we're laying off people," and that's I think that's where I'm at as far as when I answer the question as far as a bus driver. I need somebody who is not stagnant. You cannot stay in the same position from the time you're 20 to the time you retire when you're 60, which, let's be honest, if you're in that same position, getting a 3% raise every year, you will never retire and have that comfortable life. And for me, I want somebody who is constantly moving, leveling up,
That's me.
sharpening your
That's what I
skill set, and,
Me too.
and maximizing your potential.
Right.
And I think that's at the end of the day, I think that's what Ebony wants. That's definitely what I want. I think
Yeah.
that's what we all want.
I want somebody who's going to push me, because I feel like I
Yes.
have a lot to offer, right?
Right.
And I know I can get a little stagnant and a little lazy and be perfectly content to say, you know what, I'm just going to give bare minimum to this or that. And I want somebody who pushes me to, like, even with like a podcast, like if I say I'm doing a podcast, I want you to ask me, well, how did it go? Like, well, what are y'all going to do next? I had a guy I was dating, and he actually started, just asking me questions about it. Like, well, when are you guys going to go YouTube? I mean, have you guys monetized? And all, like, asking me these questions to like push me to make it to the next
Yes,
level. You know what I mean?
exactly.
And like I said, we were like friends that like would go out from time to time. So I feel like he was, even just his presence in my life was pushing me.
Was it add positive? Mhm.
It
Yeah.
added a positive to my life. So if you're adding positive, not just to your life, but adding it to mine, pushing me to be the best version of myself too,
Exactly.
is also what matters. So again, if you happen to be a bus driver while you're doing it, and let's say you've only been doing it a year because you got laid off at your last job, and
Yeah.
and right now you wanted something coming in, so you were like, it was easy, I just went and I became
Yeah.
so there's
But
reasons
there needs to
behind
be
that.
and
But
there needs to be a next level and a next
Exactly.
level.
Exactly.
And I think that's where, even though we would answer the questions differently, I think we're all in the same.
That's what I was saying. We're all saying
We
the same
always
thing
end up
at
in the end at the same place. And for me personally, I now, like I said, your job does not define, my job doesn't define who I am as a person.
Right.
It's not my personality. It's a job. I clock in, clock out. I leave the job where it's at, because at the end of the day, yes, I do work for someone else. So at the end of the day, I come in, do my work, and I leave. I do not take that with me. It's not who I am as a person. It's not my personality. Some people make their job their personality, but that, whatever. But at the end of the day, I feel like when it comes to when Iyanla talked about being a man in a skirt and feminine energy, I want to be that soft person with my partner, because
Right,
I think people can display both male and masculine and feminine energy. You just have to have that other person that can bounce off and you know, when I want to be soft, you need to be that a little bit harder, and when I need to be harder, you can be a little bit more vulnerable. Because at the end of the day, I don't want just a husband. I want a partner, someone who I have a soft place to land, but also who's we're out here, we're grinding. When we need to be tough, we can be tough. When we need to,
but
we
you're
can be
also
soft.
the soft place for them to land.
Exactly.
When they need to be vulnerable.
Exactly.
So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
100%.
I want a partner. I want something where it's equal. So that means that, you know, if I ever do have the opportunity to be a mother, I want that person who is truly a partner where everything's not on me. Right. I'm not doing all the emotional work, all the housework.
You can take a breath.
I will tell you,
exactly.
it is the best feeling in the world when you have a partner that will just hold you down, and you. I can't even explain it.
Yeah.
Like, I got laid off, and he's like, "Cool, take a break." It's like we'll figure it out.
Like,
right?
if that was to have happened to me, I would be in panic mode, and there would be nobody else for me to look to except for Janice. What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
right.
That's it.
And honestly, you know, Janice and I don't have the best relationship with our father. Even when our parents were together, not saying he did cheat, unfortunately, but not saying, but yeah, he did, and not saying that didn't hurt us, but not saying my father is a bad person. He made bad decisions, and that ended up unfortunately hurting not only me and Janice, but also hurt our mother. At the end of the day, he's not a bad person, and I can see where he had that potential to be a really great husband, but he fell short. And I'm sure he has regrets in his decision making. But when I see Ernest, I'm like, I don't look to my father. I look to Ernest as when I think about a partner, I'm imagining someone who brings to the table
even
what Ernest brings to Stacy. I want that from my partner, because truly, Ernest is a person that I can see him going. He goes, "Hey, I'm gonna cook."
Yesterday, perfect example.
Yeah.
I came over to their house. I wanted something to eat, and I didn't see anything on the way there. It was an immediate thing that Ernest was like, "You want me to go run out and get you something? Do you want me to make you something real quick?" Like, he's just he can, and I feel like he's a perfect example of a man who can live in both the masculine energy and the feminine energy, because males should have that feminine energy as well. Meaning, like, it doesn't just have to be Stacey that says, "I can make you something real quick," right? Because she's the woman of the house, right? He can do that same thing too.
You know, for me, like,
and I was just so like, I was a little blown away, like, that he was willing to just run and go get something real quick.
For me, it was like, I remember when, because it's always just been your podcast, and when you were like, "Let's do it together," and we're like, "Okay, I'm gonna do this podcast with them," and he was like, "All right, which y'all." He was pushing it. Like, he was like, "Okay, if y'all gonna do the podcast, y'all need to do the podcast." And we were sitting here complaining, like, we don't have this, we don't have that. And he comes home one day, he goes, "Oh, I ordered y'all something for your podcast." And I'm like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, I ordered you also y'all get y'all mics working." Because I think in the beginning,
he listened to it and he was like, "The quality could be better.
Yeah.
Let's do this."
That's what I love about him. He's like, "Okay, whatever you want to do, Stacey, I got you. Like, but if you're gonna do it, okay, well, let me
add to it."
He's all about, like, whatever you want to do. Okay, that's what you decide to do. Let's do it. But you need to be the best that you can be at it. Like, if you're missing something, let me.
He's not gonna let you go out there and be mediocre.
He gifted us our first little piece of equipment.
Oh, and it's been the best purchase for this podcast since. Like, I was like, wow. And me and Julian were like, "Well, what does it cost? Do we need, like?" And they were like, "No." He's like, "No, that's okay." He's
like, "Y'all want to do it? I'm gonna help y'all if anything I can do to help."
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's good. And I think for me, I really want to, I want to live in my feminine energy. I really do. Especially at this point in my life, I'm getting a little tired
it's
of doing it by myself. So, I would love to meet a man that I felt like I could, like,
yeah,
and not, because I also I'm not a woman. I'm been doing this for so long by myself. I'm not going to be the type of woman that's going to ask you for the help, right?
Yeah.
See me having a rough time and just help me. If you really care about me, just help me. And that will allow me to break down some of those walls. Just like you said, we don't have the best relationship with our father. So asking for things it's just not been something that I've been ever really good at. I will sit there and I would struggle before I would literally ask you, hey, can you help me? Right? So I'm looking for somebody who can see that in me and be like, you know, I'm a helper.
Yeah.
Because I care about her. And then that will make me drop that guard down more and more and more. Yeah. But I tell people all the time, I cannot relax until I feel like I can trust you. And if I can't, if you don't give me the room to grow that trust, it's never going to work for us because I have trust issues. So I need to be able to say, okay, I can trust him.
Yeah.
Okay, he showed me something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that. And I feel like some people will look at it like, well, you're making them work for something they didn't do. And I'm like, it's at the end of the day, it's one of the requirements of being with Janice.
It's your stipulation.
It's
your non-negotiable.
Yeah. It's not even a non-negotiable. I cannot take my guard down unless I trust you. I cannot do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm the same way too. And I think at the end of the day, like I said, I think we're all coming back to the same place. And I think almost in a way, in a roundabout way, we're kind of ending up where Eboni was at and I think with her explanation when she did her rebuttal and she went back on the Breakfast Club, for her, she wants somebody who, like we said, isn't stagnant, that's always moving, elevating, maximizing their skill set, and being able to level up. And I think that's what we all want. And that's what I want for myself. And that's what I want in a partner.
Okay. So, I mean, I feel like that was my closing thought. That was Jillian's closing thought. Stacey, what do you have?
Same
closing thought.
Yeah, same closing thoughts for me too. I just we just go about things differently, but in the end, we're all at the same spot. Yeah. I don't necessarily always see people for their profession. I go beyond that. I like to get to know people, like, you know, where you're at, like, where's your headspace at, like, you know, what's really going on. So I wouldn't necessarily just say, no, I would not date a bus driver. I would have to get more out of it.
Have more context.
There's more context that's needed. Yeah.
But
so at the end of the day, we just want to be happy.
Yeah. But that's just one thing. There's other things that I have that I'm like, yeah, I'm not even going there. Like, full stop. Like, I have other.
Yeah. Exactly.
The bus driver is not one of them. But I have
trust is more important for me than
other things.
Your career.
Right.
So the moment I catch you lying about something small, I'm like, oh, well,
it's a wrap.
You'll lie to me about other stuff. So then that's going to be a hard no for me.
Right.
Right. So, but anyways, that was, you know, I thought that was a really good topic for us to cover. Yeah. You know, especially with the people who listen to this podcast. I know we get questions like that all the time. So, but yeah, so we're going to get out of here. We're going to go to brunch. We're doing a Mother's Day because our mom's going back to Jamaica. So we're going to do a Mother's Day and do a brunch. So
early Mother's Day.
Yeah, early Mother's Day. So we're going to get out of here, and I hope you guys enjoy your Sunday. Obviously when you hear this, it's going to be a Wednesday, so I hope you're enjoying your Wednesday.
And have a happy Mother's Day for all the mothers out there.
Be careful, and just our thoughts and prayers with everyone. I mean, I hate to even say thoughts and prayers because I just feel like it's
repetitive at this point.
Yeah, but just stay safe, everyone.
All right, guys.
All right.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the platform you're listening on, and leave us a review.
We want to support local businesses, so if you'd like us to shout out your business, or if you have a topic suggestion, or even questions for our QA section, we want to hear from you. So reach out to us at letmefinish@gmail.com.
You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Let Me Finish. Don't forget that the E in me is the number 3. You can find me at New Jillian Who Dis on Instagram. Stacey, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Mrs. Cams01. I'm also on TikTok, Mrs. Cams01, MRSKAMS01.
And Janice, where can we find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Uniquely Janice, and Facebook and TikTok, I'm just Janice Housen.
Okay. See you next week.
See you next week.
See you guys then.